What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Strackbine, joined always by my man, Jacob Punturi. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. And as always, you can find all of our work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. It's a beautiful one here in the Berg. It was a lovely weekend. Great one for golf. Aaron Rodgers may or may not have been thinking about it. George Pickens, the drama continues even when he's gone, once again indicating why the Pittsburgh Steelers moved on. But, I mean, at the same time, bringing up a lot of questions about, what's going on with wide receivers. Running back signing over the weekend. We'll dive into that and what it means. Jake, it's a good one. How you feeling, my friend?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling all right. Did you have a good weekend? Did you get to celebrate your mom?
I did get to celebrate my mom a little bit. Shout out, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, of course. Did get to celebrate my mom a little bit. Was back in Scranton, and then we made the trip up. My sister-in-law became a doctor, so I officially never have to pay for healthcare. That's how I took that one. And I felt pretty good about the situation. How about you? I was happy to be here on a Monday and celebrate your mom.
Heck yeah. Got to hang out a little bit of time with the mama. So we had a good time. But yeah, I hope everyone who was able to got to celebrate the beautiful women in their lives. But yeah, I'm having a good one. It's another beautiful day. I feel like we're getting some summer vibes right now. I don't know, but I kind of want to take a walk right now.
I agree, dude. The city of Pittsburgh's in a good spot. Over the weekend was in a weird spot. Let's start with George Pickens. I mean, for anybody who missed it, George Pickens decided that he's not done yet. And for the third time in his NFL career, twice with the Pittsburgh Steelers, once not with the Pittsburgh Steelers, George Pickens, well, he had something to say, and then he said, I had nothing to say. I don't know what you guys are talking about. There was a screenshot circulating across almost all of social media yesterday evening, about 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, of George Pickens responding to an interview between Beanie Bishop and Peyton Wilson. And it said, quote, the cheapest organization, ain't no stacking year after year. They gonna let them word go too soon. It's time. Everybody freaks out. Everybody's looking around going, George, man, we were waiting for this one. But at the same time, we thought you were better. We thought the introduction press conference in Dallas, in my opinion, was like a stepping stone of, okay, George is moving on. He's taking the high road. He's looking at this and saying, all right, time to move on. He then posted a picture on his Instagram story later that day, about 2 hours later, that said, quote, literally on a plane. No service, just landed and seen straight lies from Pitt fans. Stop with AI trying to make a story. I'm happy with everything the Steel City did for me. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. I will say this, okay? First off, shout out to all the mothers out there, obviously. Shout out to all the mothers out there. George Pickens, in my head, 3 strikes and you're out. And in this case, it's 3 strikes. All right, dude, you just got to get called out for the blatant lies. For those of you who do not remember, George Pickens has a history of doing just this. He once liked a comment under his own Instagram post about how the Pittsburgh Steelers need to get this guy a quarterback. Who was his starting quarterback at the time? Kenny Pickett, who was supposed to be the guy for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was asked about liking that comment and could have simply said, it was a mistake. I bumped it. Happens all the time. Instead, he said, you can't post comments on my pictures, which you can if you didn't know already. Second, he once deleted all of his photos of him being a Pittsburgh Steeler on his Instagram. Mm-hmm. And then followed that one up by saying, I've never posted anything about football on my Instagram. The 2 pictures that remained on Instagram was him playing football at the University of Georgia. So track record is not on his side. I mean, you believe? I'll ask the easy question just in case you feel differently. Do you believe George? Do you believe George?
what else? What else can you do but believe him? I mean, there's no. I'm totally kidding. It,
All right.
I love his commitment to just saying whatever he wants. I'm kind of taking
Yes.
some notes. I think the next time I get in trouble, I'm just gonna end it with like whatever the closest holiday is. It'll just be like, oh man, that didn't happen at all. Also, happy Father's Day. Just want to shout out.
I think
No,
that's an excellent way to go about it.
I feel like that's really good. You just get that little nice. Oh, we're back on track there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really believe him. AI can make a lot of things happen nowadays. There's a ton of things that you have to be very considerate of on the internet. But yeah, I think maybe George Pickens is just a little careless with how he uses social media and then gets caught because that's just the world we live in nowadays. So yeah, I don't really buy it.
I don't think anybody's buying it. Look, my thing with George Pickens is it's in the past, whatever. It's fun. It's hilarious. The bigger question, I think, where we sit here is, okay, it's going to continue. Let's not act like it's not going to continue. You know what I'm saying? This is a well-rounded thing. And we can sit here and talk about George's character all day long. I don't care about it. I don't think you care about it. I don't think any Steelers fan cares about it. You want to know what we do care about? It has been a long list of Steelers wide receivers leaving and just blowing up. And George started to blow up a little bit, during this. Antonio Brown started blowing up a little bit during this. Where does he rank? I was watching a tier list yesterday, and I think it's time to just put George into the category of where and how close to Antonio Brown are you? So I will start the list, and I'll ask you where he stands. It includes recently Antonio Brown, obviously, Chase Claypool, Juju Smith-Schuster, who, I mean, I was there for the Juju. I was there for the Chase, Deontay, anybody but Antonio Brown. And, I've followed, I was here afterwards, so I was close enough. And I will say Juju is by far not a problem. Never was. I defended that guy, even with the TikTok nonsense. Juju, Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, Antonio Brown, George Pickens. Let's rank them. Juju's got to be one, right? Juju's got to be one, easiest, cool, smooth. If you were going to take that kid, moral, you know what I mean? Everything's looking good.
Incredible.
Two. Who are you thinking two? Chase, George, Deontay? It's a tough conversation.
Let's go. This might be a crazy one, and I don't know if you're going to meet me here, but I think Deontay.
I'm thinking Deontay too. I looked at Deontay Johnson as a guy that had a lot of issues, but the reason he stuck around so long is because he would walk up in front of the podium and be like, yeah, dude, that was 100% me. My bad. I suck. I'm going to make it up. We'll get real, like, emotional, loving, feeling good. And then he'd just go do it again, obviously, but at least he apologized. All right, big question. George, Chase, I don't even think this is close. Do you think it's close?
Here's my struggle right now is the recency bias. This is so fresh. The George leaving is so fresh. Like everything he did feels amplified. So I'm like, it feels like I might be casting aspersions to not put him at number 3, but I don't know. I'm torn right now. Where are you at?
I am going Chase Claypool after Deontay Johnson, and then a significant gap between George Pickens and then Antonio Brown. And to be honest, I think they're close. I do. I look at them and say, AB, man, did some George Pickens did all of it in a much quicker timeline. AB was here 10 years. George Pickens was here 3. They probably showed up late to the same amount of games. Like, nuts. Absolutely wild times with George Pickens. Shout out to George Pickens, man. I mean, just the headline that keeps on coming, refuses to quit. And sometimes you gotta. Let's talk about the other crazy rumor that floated around Pittsburgh this weekend, because it doesn't stop. It was a beautiful weekend in the Berg. Fantastic. Great for golfing. Might have had Aaron Rodgers thinking, weather looks pretty good in Pittsburgh. Let me call around just in case I end up there and see if I could get a membership somewhere. See if I could, find myself a country club for the Steel City. Andrew Filipponi tweeted this one, red hot rumor. Aaron Rodgers has allegedly joined Neville Wood Country Club, the beautiful suburban Pittsburgh golf course designed by Jack Nicklaus. Another sign he's signing with the Steelers. Now, I will say this. Neville Wood Country Club is gorgeous. Obviously, never played there, been there. great looking course. I will say that. If Aaron Rodgers is going to play anywhere, I would recommend that. But according to Richie Walsh of KDK, that didn't happen. He tweeted, "This rumor is not true. I just spoke with the club and Neville Wood president Wayne Churiazi, who said Aaron Rodgers did not join. The club would love to have him if he does sign with the Steelers. It is true that Neville Wood is a beautiful Pittsburgh suburban golf course." I love the drama this weekend. Aaron Rodgers not coming to Pittsburgh because of the golf course. Dude, like at this point, we're entering almost 2 months of Aaron Rodgers watch. We're just about at the I think today, maybe yesterday, was the 2-month mark of the Aaron Rodgers watch. It is ridiculous where we are right now. But I will say with utmost certainty, actually, not almost, utmost certainty, Aaron Rodgers isn't joining a golf club after all of this to say, that's how I'm announcing my signage to the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's not happening, dude. Like, this is Aaron Rodgers. He has meticulously planned this entire thing out. But I will say, I love when the Steelers are slow because the shit that hits the fan is awesome. It is such a good way to start a weekend. Your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers hitting the links? Thinking about the links.
Thinking
really
about the
just
links.
Pittsburgh, man.
I mean, there are plenty of options around the Berg. So, I mean, I would encourage him to maybe check out Three Lakes. Great price. He makes a little bit more money than I do, but I
don't think. Could you imagine seeing?
Buck.
Could you imagine seeing Aaron Rodgers? Like he'd go to a normal. Hey, what would you recommend? I'd be like, go to Grandview, because I would just love to see Aaron Rodgers tee off in Grandview, where you're just going, I honestly have no idea where this course turns, but we're just gonna keep swinging straight and hope for the best. Exactly. I just don't. I think Neville would fit us out, but I agree. I agree. City Pittsburgh, man.
Tons of options. I totally agree with you. I don't think we're going to get any sort of like small detail in terms of it's going to be a little tiny leak, and that's how we find out Aaron Rodgers finally made his decision. I think even if he had signed up and became a member at Neville Wood, I don't really think the president of the actual club would have to report that he's a member there. Like, I don't think that is necessarily rolling it out. Maybe he did call and talk to them about it, or maybe he did call and just inquire. Who knows? Maybe the man's really interested in making sure his golf game is good at wherever he ends up next in his NFL career. I'm not really sure where his priorities are. I know personal life is a big thing right now, so maybe that's part of it. I don't know.
That's part of the morning here. You got to look at, if I'm going to take care of my mental health, I have to be on the links. I have to be on the links.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like it's a wellness package. Might be a part of the like a bonus in his contract. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, I would be so shocked if something small, a little blip on the radar like this is how we got the news that Aaron Rodgers decided to sign with the Steelers or any other NFL team.
I agree. I just think it's so wild how we got here. Look at when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, is he going to come to Pittsburgh? Most likely. Like it is. Did you notice how every single person is starting to say by minicamp? That's because one of two things is going to happen. We are either all going to be bamboozled once again, which is a very real possibility. Like, it is a very real possibility that minicamp comes and goes, and every single one of us are sitting here looking crazy because I had no idea. I didn't realize that he wasn't going to come. I thought he was going to come. Or he's coming by minicamp. Like it's because that's what it feels like, is he's coming, he's getting ready, things are going good. The golf course thing, this guy is way too smart, bro. He's way too smart to do. It just ain't happening. It just ain't happening.
I also just don't like, how wild would it be if Aaron Rodgers or whoever works in his team, whatever that is like, hey, I'd like to sign a membership up for Aaron Rodgers. That's Rodgers. Rodgers.
I wonder if he'd wear the same hat and drive the same Chevy Malibu that he did around Pittsburgh when he showed up. All right, let's talk some real Pittsburgh Steelers news here, because I'm having a good time. And so I drove home to my parents' house for the weekend because my sister-in-law was graduating from med school and then Mother's Day. So drove on the way back. I didn't drive there because it was like, all right, I'm going to, work. I'm going to be on my laptop the whole time. Had the wife drive. On the way back, she was tired. I said, all right, I'll drive. No worries. Like, it's Sunday. It'll be quiet. I got the day settled. Chaos, man. Chaos after chaos after chaos. It was It's just when it's slow, dude, it's wild. It's wild. All right, let's talk real news here. The Pittsburgh Steelers over the weekend signed former Indianapolis Colts, San Francisco 49ers, Philadelphia Eagles running back, Ohio State third-round pick Trey Sermon to a one-year deal after rookie minicamp. He was the guy that I said on Friday, hey, look at this guy. Looks like if anybody's going to make the team right now, it's going to be him. He's going to be the rookie minicamp guy to come in here. To me, he's a bigger body. He has NFL experience, but he's got NFL special teams experience, which is very valuable right now. The Steelers are looking for a running back 4, just a guy to be behind Kenneth Gainwell to potentially replace Cordero Patterson. We'll get into that here in a moment, but you looked at Trey Sermon and it was the easy option to me. The Steelers had interest in him coming out of Ohio State. If he wasn't a third-round pick, which I think was high at the time, if he wasn't a third-round pick, I think the Steelers possibly would have ended up with Trey Sermon in 2021. They didn't, and now he's here, 26 years old, so he's still young enough to say doesn't have enough tread on his body to be worried about it. The Trey Sermon signing, does it mark the end of Cordero Patterson?
Oh, I can't see how Cordero Patterson has a spot on the Steelers roster going into this season. And with every single move, it just feels like that is being cemented. Because, I mean, break it down for me. We got Jalen Warren, the presumptive number 1. Caleb Johnson, number 2 right now, maybe 1 eventually, 1A, whatever you want to call it. Kenneth Gainwell. Now we have Trey Sermon. What else does that leave? Unless you are going to not bring an extra receiver onto the roster for him or something like that. But
even if you did that, though, you got DK, Calvin Austin, Roman Wilson, Ben Skoranek. That's 4 right there. You're probably going to add another one. Maybe you like the likings of a Rock Taylor out of minicamp here or out of the undrafted free agent class. Like, I have no idea, but I have a hard time thinking they're going in with 4 and you're keeping Cordero. You're probably going to keep DJ Thomas Jones at this point. You have to assume that's the case. You might keep 4 tight ends, which is ridiculous, but you might keep 4 tight ends. Like, there's just no. My thing is, I don't understand how we got here. Maybe the cap hit just isn't affected in any way, no matter when you release him. And if that's the case, I get it. Cool. But at the same time, like, Trey Sermon would have to be so bad, right, to say you don't have a roster spot over Cordero Patterson. Either he'd have to get injured and the next guy would have to be really bad, or there just was nobody left, or Cordero Patterson, like, somehow, I don't get it. Like, Cordero's 34 years old, clearly was not the player that the Steelers were hoping for last season. Had moments, let's not act like he didn't, but like, not enough moments to say things are going to get better at 34 when you play running back. It just, like, how bad Trey Sermon would have to be this summer to not get a job. Do you think it happens, though, before? Like, is this the sign? Is this Cordero's gone?
I don't even think so. I feel like you might be playing this game. It seems like maybe the theme of the Steelers summer and off season is let's just keep everything in limbo. Let's just keep it all up in the air and let's just see how everything falls once training camp arrives. Like, I have no idea. I would think Cordero Patterson's not around anymore, but the Steelers love to have these depth players. Like, if, to your point, if they're going to keep 4 tight ends, that means like a Connor Hayward is one of them. So he will basically just be on special teams, and then he'll line up as a fullback twice in the preseason or something like that. And I just don't understand why then we would have Cordero around to take 7 handoffs throughout the 17-game season. I don't understand it at all.
I don't either. There's just, to me, there's no point of it that makes sense. He is the last remaining, I saw that one happening a while ago, move for the Steelers. Like, he's the last, like, when you headed into the offseason, there were certain guys, certain moves that you knew were going to happen. The Steelers were going to probably move on from Larry Ogunjobi. Felt like that one was real. One of the linebackers was going, thought it was going to be Cole Holcomb, ended up being a Landon Roberts. You were probably going to bring in a veteran corner. I didn't see them going after one. And chances were you were moving on from Najee Harris. Cordero being on the roster was like the easiest. It wasn't even included on the list because you just said there's no chance they're not saving $2.5 million to keep a 34-year-old running back around. That doesn't make sense. I think Trey Sermon's on the roster unless something else happens. I don't understand how he couldn't be. Also, Robert Woods is the 5th wide receiver that I totally forgot about. So thank you, everybody in the chat. It just, to me, that you have too many. Look, at the Steelers are going to add a wide receiver. Okay, the most likely at some point they're going to add a wide receiver. Yes. That's going to be probably 6 wide receivers that they keep on the roster, which means that you have to remove somebody somewhere. Connor Hayward has the upper hand. Donald Parham, if they like him, he's going to stick around. He's going to be the new Michael Pruitt. I could see that being the case as well. And that's another spot. They want offensive line depth. They struggled without offensive line depth last year, so they want to make that happen. They get Cole Holcomb back. They have a bunch of inside linebackers, couple corners that they're going to keep, which is going to be deeper than next year. There's no part of it that makes sense to me to say 34-year-old running back is the guy that they keep. Is there another move on the roster though that you I don't know, maybe I'm missing here? Maybe you see coming? Kacha is a bit of surprise as we sit here today, because I feel like that's where we're at, is the roster set just about, and did it shape out okay? Is it okay?
Oh, no. No.
Not a quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you have some glaring holes on the offensive side of the ball. I don't see any surprise moves coming. I don't see anyone else being cut before training camp or anything like that. I think this is largely the roster and group of people we're going to see. And doesn't strike me as anything great. I think they could have managed, again, just a lot more and more impressive upgrades on the offensive side of the ball if they really wanted to do what they set out to do for the offseason. But I think the roster is pretty much set. I don't love what I see right now.
No, nobody does. I mean, nobody. You don't have a quarterback and you have a bad wide receiver group. Sounds exactly like last year, which is a very tough spot to be. Outside of the core, I mean, you have Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, which again is still such a massive. How did that go wrong for the Pittsburgh Steelers? All right, Trey Sermon's the new running back in Pittsburgh. George Pickens drama continues. Aaron Rodgers. Oh my gosh. All right, let's ask. I got some random questions. George Pickens, okay. What's more likely? Let's ask this one. George Pickens has a career year, or the Pittsburgh Steelers win less than 8 games this season?
Oh, what's more likely? I think it's more likely that the Steelers win less than 8 games. Is that what you said?
Yeah, less than 8 games.
Yeah, I think that is more likely than Pickens having a career year.
All right.
I don't see this experiment working out particularly well in Dallas's favor. I think they're going to have a really hard time dispersing the ball. I think Dak will eventually understand why there was a lot of reported issues for years surrounding Pickens. I think unless there is some sort of there's obviously an urgency on Pickens' side to get that next contract and to ball out in order to get it. So there's a lot of motivation there, but I think there's a lot of personalities there. There's other people who want the ball. And I think if it doesn't run through Dak, it's not going to work the way the Cowboys want. And that is not necessarily the mindset Pickens approaches everything. So
it's very true. It's very true. All right. What's more likely? Pittsburgh. I like it. Or Pittsburgh. I don't like it, but
no, I don't like that either. But I think that's.
I do. I think the Pickens thing's in a tough situation. All right, here we go. Number 2. Aaron Rodgers. What's more likely? Aaron Rodgers signs with the Pittsburgh Steelers before George Pickens finally stops talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, I think what is much more likely and what will happen is Aaron Rodgers will sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers before George Pickens can stop talking about the Steelers, or the AI generated responses that no one can comment on the pictures of George's social media. It might pop up again in George's world, but Aaron Rodgers will already be a Steeler at that point.
I agree. All right. With that said, let's stop talking about the nonsense that happened over the weekend. That's everything on our agenda. We're going to start answering all your guys' questions so that we could dive into this Monday and send you guys off on a good note. With that said, toss them in the chat. We will be right back.
Pittsburgh, this one's for you. From the voices behind all Steelers talk comes Black and Gold apparel, your go-to for bold, fan-driven merch that reps the city, the Steelers, and everything in between. Whether you bleed black and gold or just love that Pittsburgh grit, we've got something for you. It's more than a podcast. It's a community. And thanks to your support, we're proud to bring the passion from our mics to your closets. Gear up, stand out, and show the world what real fans look like. Shop now at blackandgoldapparel.myshopify.com.
All righty. Shout out to our super chatters. Shout out to our members. Appreciate all you guys. Excited for OTAs next week. As of right now, let's start diving into your comments. If you got them, toss them in the chat. We're going to start with our boy Knock, who gifted not 5, but 10 All Steelers Talk memberships. Look, y'all, I can't thank you guys enough. This is fantastic. We can't thank you guys enough. This is fantastic. Appreciate all of you guys. And now that you are members, call into the call-in show every single Wednesday. The number is on the membership page. Let's keep it trucking here. Thomas, shame George Pickens is bagging the Steelers, man. Was my favorite player for the Steelers. Do you think Caleb will be the next Le'Veon Bell? Shame on George Pickens, man. It's a tough, or shame about George Pickens, man. It is tough. That's the thing is with George, if you watched football Sunday to Sunday, or if you watched football every Sunday, that was it. Like you could do your best to ignore everything else happening. Mm-hmm. George was a blast, man. George was a great time. Nobody had bad things to say about what he did on the field. It's off-field stuff, man, that it's tough when guys like that are that good and you want to like them real bad. As for Caleb Johnson being the next Le'Veon Bell, I think there's a lot of similarities there. I do think that the vision is the biggest one. When it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers running game, Najee Harris wasn't the guy to execute the zone running scheme that Arthur Smith wanted to put into place. I think Jaylen Warren's going to be fine at it. Caleb Johnson's vision is insane, and that's what Le'Veon Bell did best. That's what his best attribute was his ability to know what was going to happen and anticipate it. Caleb Johnson does a lot of the same things. Now, he doesn't have the patient running style that Le'Veon had. Nobody ever will, I don't think. But I mean, Caleb Johnson is a guy that has ridiculous vision. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think vision is the key. I think it's really hard to project that a rookie can come in and do so much from the line of scrimmage like Le'Veon Bell could at his peak. Like, I don't see him being like a 2,000-yard all-purpose back right now. Maybe he could get there, but yeah, that vision and that familiarity with the zone running scheme just makes him such a solid fit for the Steelers. I think he really has. Of all the rookies right now, I think I'm most excited about him and just his ability to instantly make an impact on the Steelers offense. So yeah, I think there's a good comparison there. It's lofty, but let's dream big right now.
I agree. I definitely agree. The way I'm looking at Caleb Johnson right now is he is the guy I'm most excited about. Him, Derek Harmon, Y.E. Black are definitely on that list, but Caleb Johnson, man, I'm a running back guy, and I won't stop being one. Marlon Lewis, Noah, Jacob, happy Monday. Should the Steelers worry about the offense being horrible and then DK crashing out? I mean, obviously that is a situation that could happen. I will say this, DK's got a history of some instances for sure, but I also think at this point in his career is 27 years old, and I could be totally wrong. In the city of Pittsburgh, I saw a comment in here saying, the Dallas beat writers are all about the Pickens didn't do it, and they'll learn. And with DK, being in Pittsburgh, I've already learned. I understand the situation. I have trust issues at the wide receiver position. I think we all do, and I think you can never say never with anybody, but it does seem like DK's been somewhat, loud without being a problem, if that makes sense.
Sure.
You know, like it doesn't feel like it's like the only thing being talked about in Seattle all the time. And it's more of like I'm pissed. I'm going to let it be known that I'm not happy about this. But, you know, that's kind of, if that's where it ends, like Deshaun Elliott is a great example of this, where like he says some stuff during press conferences and things where it makes a headline and you're going, oof, okay. But he's just speaking his mind. He's being dead serious about the whole situation. But that's where it ends, you know, like
Right.
that's where it ends. If that's where it ends, okay. I think it works out. DK worries me less, I feel like.
For sure. Yeah. And the thing here too is like there's a difference between having a strong statement and maybe creating headlines in the sake of, you know, winning. I'm a determined leader. I'm, you know, trying to galvanize my team, this, that, and the other. There's a million reasons why people say certain things, but it never seemed, even when DK was in Seattle, it seemed like he just really wanted to win. And that was where a lot of the issues came from. Maybe it seemed more self-absorbed of time because he wants the ball, sure. But I think there's a difference between like blaming everyone else. There's nothing that I'm taking accountability for. And I'm maybe coming out strongly after a loss and, you know, calling out my teammates that need to be better and myself. So yeah, it could happen, of course. But the other thing too here is just gave him all this money. So I think he might not be as inclined to crash out immediately because he just got the bag, man.
That's so ridiculously true in the NFL is look at dude, money cures all. It always has. Marlon Lewis has another one. Tush push with Will Howard and Caleb Johnson would be big guys for sure. With Jalen, I would go direct snap to Jalen, get him through that line and just, you know what I mean? I think he could sneak his way right through. He's
a slippery guy. I like that.
Maddie, why would we continue to go after Aaron Rodgers? The easy answer to this is that he is, without question, the best option for the Pittsburgh Steelers right now if they're trying to win in 2025, which they're walking this wild and a bit ridiculous line of trying to build and prepare for the future, understanding their franchise quarterback and their shot at it is in 2026, but also saying, well, we are the Pittsburgh Steelers and we must win now, which is ridiculous, but it puts them in this wild place of they don't really know what's going on. Nobody really knows what's going on. And it's just kind of hoping for the best all the way around. I think in the long run, it has the foundation to work. As for right now, I don't think it does, but they believe Aaron Rodgers is the best shot that if it's he's going to lead their way. He's going to lead the way.
Yeah, I hate it, but you're right.
It's true. Thomas, direct snap to Washington and let him. Oh, this would be all day, every single day. I think he's athletic enough to jump over the line. You know, I really think he could.
That would be a sight. That would be a majestic sight.
All you got to do is just get on top. You know what I mean? If you got if you have the leverage where half your body's on the over the offensive line, they could just kind of lift, you know what I mean? All stand up and just flip you right in there. I think that'd be a good shot. I love that one. John, I'm more interested in Rock Taylor right now because he's actually on the roster. Rock Taylor actually impressed on Saturday, and he's a big physical dude, man. If I'm gonna guess any undrafted guy makes the roster this season, it'll be two right now. And that would be Rock Taylor and DJ Thomas Jones. Now, I think that there are a lot of moves to be made still, and the Steelers are more than likely going to add a wide receiver at some point, and that makes it more difficult for Rock Taylor. But if Rock could come out here and impress and be, a guy that could play special teams and maybe kind of force his hand, and then on top of that, Roman Wilson and Calvin Austin look very impressive, and the Steelers are comfortable with them being a piece of this offense, a larger piece of this offense. They're comfortable with Robert Woods. Then I could see Rock Taylor forcing his way onto as the sixth receiver this season. I could see that happening. As of DJ Thomas Jones, I think he's right now. I hope he's a lock. I don't know if he is, but I hope he is. Your thoughts on Rock Taylor?
I would love for Rock Taylor to find a way. I think he has a great shot here. What stands out is if he can get to training camp, there's some taller players, like when we were talking about Mikey Vector, if I'm getting his name right the other
Yep.
day, just like some of the extra camp bodies that they are bringing in and some people who are contending for roster spots, like they're taller. So I'm kind of interested to see how that sort of physical matchup works and if it helps Rock get a roster spot because of it, because he'll have to go up against some bigger secondary options, and maybe that helps him stand out, because it's one thing to be physical over, you know, a 5'9" corner or something like that. But if you can do it against someone who's matching up with the same size, I feel like that might catch the Steelers' eye, and it might kind of help them see that this could be a totally different offensive weapon, a totally different form that maybe they don't have already, besides DK, who's a big physical receiver. But, you know,
I agree.
Matchup issues, that could help them a ton. So I would love to see him get as many reps and as many opportunities as possible, just to see if there's something there.
Marlon Lewis, at this point, could you see George forced himself out? I do think that George had more of a hand in this than they thought, but at the same time, I think that hand was simply a conversation between George's agent and the Pittsburgh Steelers saying, hey, look, we're not going to sign you. Like, I think that, you know, the best is for all of us to move on. And George's agent going, yeah, I agree, pal. Thanks. Let's have a good day. I think that's where it went. Marlon continues here. Is it safe to say the diva wide receivers started when we lost our hold on offense? AB started going nuclear and Haley's way out. Randy, Matt present. I think there's always been diva wide receivers, and the Steelers have had a tough time with those diva wide receivers. They've had a few, but like you had Plaxico, who, you know, he wasn't super friendly on his way out. You had Mike Wallace, who wasn't super pleased on his way out, but much significantly less of a diva, I would say. And then you had, you know, Martavis Bryant, and which we didn't even add to the list, and AB at the end. I agree with that. I don't think it was a hold of the offense. I think it was, you know, wide receivers more than any other position, I think, speak up and say, we're not where I want to be right now. I think I'm ready to go somewhere else. I think I'm ready for this to end. I feel like that's the case.
Yeah. Did Santonio Holmes, did we trade him because of a contract? Or was it after he got suspended? Did he get in trouble or something?
Yeah. I believe he got caught smoking weed or something. I think that was the case. It was in the midst of like many things, including the Ben situation. And I think at that point it was like the way I always took it was the Steelers needed to make a statement.
Right.
That was the statement that they were ready to make. They weren't ready to get rid of their franchise quarterback. You know, like I feel like that was the case. Darian, out of everyone you saw at rookie minicamp, who'd you look at and say, yeah, he is going to be amazing on the field? That's a great question. Okay. Caleb Johnson I'll give you the three easy ones. Caleb Johnson, I looked at and said, that guy's going to be a stud, but I was too high. I was biased on Caleb Johnson. I will admit that. Y.E. Black is a dude that I looked at and said, I think this dude's going to be so freaking good. He's so physical. He's so big. His feet move well. His punch is ridiculous. Like, he's just a guy that could plug the middle of the field, and the Steelers need so bad to be able to plug the middle of the field. That's how I see, like, Isaiah Loudermilk showed up, and I like Isaiah. And I think Isaiah has a lot of talent, and he's got great size. Y.E. Black's got great size and like just looks like a guy who's mean and physical, and that's what the Steelers have been missing. Derek Harmon's the same way. I didn't see that dude smile for 2 days. I didn't see him smile. Like, he just looked, and I don't mean like, I understand he's going through, but he just looked like he's the type of guy. TJ walks on the field and you are immediately intimidated by TJ Watt. You know, like, he doesn't smile. He barely takes his mean face off. I'm surprised he doesn't have permanent indentations here from just all the time. Yeah, that was Derek Harmon. Like, the same thing. It was like, okay, that was it. Those would be my three. I think Jack Sawyer looked more impressive than I thought he was going to look. Will Howard looked comfortable and confident. All the things I expected him to look, to be honest, coming in here. Like, I'm more worried about Will Howard when minicamp starts and there's a defense on him and, you know, guys are really messing with them and that kind of stuff. But Caleb Johnson, Y.E. Black, Derek Harmon, those are my big three. Lindsay here. Did the Steelers get rid of Cam Sutton yet? So I don't know if you're aware of this, but a couple of weeks ago, I believe it was the pre-draft press conference. I'm not 100% though. Maybe it was the free agent signing press conference. I actually think that's what it was. And Cam Sutton was hanging out at the facility, all decked out in Steelers gear. I don't know where that has gone or what that has gone. I got two questions for you here. Cam Sutton is not on the roster, but I don't know if he's coming back. What's your confidence level in Beanie Bishop and / Deontay Kent? And would you go a veteran? And if you're going to go a veteran, maybe a name like Mike Hilton over Cam Sutton?
Yeah, low confidence right now in Beanie Bishop.
Okay.
In anyone being able to kind of stand out. Like I know we talked about Sebastian Castro as maybe being someone who could, he's versatile, plays a couple different positions. Doesn't do much for me. I would love if Mike Hilton is interested in coming back. I would have more confidence in him than these other young guys right now. I would not have a ton of confidence in Cam Sutton. I think my confidence level in him would be about the same as the Beanie Bishops and the Castros and the Kents and all that stuff. He just didn't do a ton for me when he was on the field. So I think his kind of time as being like any sort of useful DB in the NFL is kind of past.
Yes.
But yeah, I would be fine with Mike Hilton. I know he kind of had a tough time last year, at least from what I watched. But again, I would have at least like if I'm 10% confident in Beanie Bishop, I'm 20% confident in Mike Hilton.
It's such a terrible number to be at. You're like, I have literally no confidence in either of these guys, and it's really bad, and the Steelers have done nothing to situate it. I'll say this. I would imagine it is Beanie Bishop and Deontay Kent that get the first crack at it in minicamp and OTAs, and then if they're not satisfied, just like Cam Sutton came last year, it'll be June-ish where they say, okay, that was enough. Let's get a real guy here and change some things up. Tej, no, I saw that Arch Manning might not enter the draft until 2027. Would this impact the Steelers going to get their franchise quarterback next year if Arch Manning isn't an option in 2026? I don't think so. The Steelers, in my opinion, are not going to land Arch Manning unless he is the third, maybe the fourth best quarterback in the draft class, which could happen. But where we sit here today, I don't imagine that happening. I don't think the Steelers have their eyes on, I think they have their eyes on Arch Manning, but I think they're being more realistic about that. And all this does is bump the class up. So there's one less option in the first round. So in that way, yes, like super, super impactful as to who their remaining options are going to be or them being much slimmer. But I still don't think that it changes them getting into the top 5 to 10 and saying, okay, this is our guy, whether it's Drew Aller. I would imagine right now where we sit, Newsomer becomes the QB1. I think a lot of things are going to change, but I don't think it impacts almost anything outside of less options. When it comes to them going to get it, they're going to get it. You feel the same way?
Yeah, I think the Steelers are setting themselves up for like a cinematic moment with the 26th draft where they just their eyes are set on landing like a franchise player hosting the draft and all that stuff. I think it'll just be like a really cool moment. I'm not sold on it being like Arch Manning or nothing. And I tell you what, like I hope Arch Manning like just kicks butt this year. But if there's one player that I'm actually tired of hearing about, like I know people are tired of hearing about George Pickens. Like I'm genuinely very tired of hearing about Arch Manning because I've seen him play like 3 snaps in the NCAA. I don't even know if he is that good. Like I know he's talented. I know he has the skills and the tools and the size, but like, man, I want to just watch him play like 6 weeks of games before I decide he's the future Steelers quarterback and invest all my hope in him.
I agree. I agree. Look at it's early. I believe teams are going to draft Arch Manning because of Peyton and Eli and saying you can't teach that. I would imagine Tomlin's on that list of like, how are you gonna do better than Peyton and Eli as mentors? How are you gonna? It's like I don't know. Talent would be great. Talent would be Patrick Mahomes' mentor was not Peyton Manning and Peyton's a bad example, but Tom Brady's mentor, you know what I mean? Like it's all these examples. Pittsburgh Hornets, what's your top 3 stories you would like to see before minicamp? Great question. top 3. I mean, Steelers sign Aaron Rodgers would be awesome. Steelers extend TJ Watt would be phenomenal too, but I don't think that one's very likely. I think that's more of an after minicamp situation. But the George Pickens trade definitely narrows the list of offseason to-dos for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'm going Aaron Rodgers signing is number 1. TJ number 2, but I don't think that one's super likely. I would like to see. I don't know if I want to see a wide receiver move. Do you want to see a wide receiver move before you see Roman Wilson and Calvin Austin?
No, not really. Not unless it is like some sort of home run of a trade or something like that.
Yes.
But no, not really. I think Calvin Austin deserves at least a greater opportunity. We've been so down on Roman Wilson. Like maybe he's got more to show. So yeah, I feel like you would just be kind of putting the cart before the horse if you were to go out and get someone on those lists of just like maybe available targets before you see what you have in those guys.
I agree. Like it's got to be. I can't even come. I mean, again, if you're going to go get, Wicks or Dobbs from Green Bay, there's an argument to be made. All right. Sounds good. You know what I mean? Those guys are guys you're building the future with. If you're going to get, I don't know. I can't even say Brandon Ayuk, but I want to say Brandon Ayuk. Wait it out before you go spend the money in the compensation.
Right.
Wait it out. Let it breathe for a minute here. If you're going to get Christian Watson, let it breathe for a minute here. Like, people have tossed Alex Pierce's name out there in Indianapolis. Let it breathe for a minute. Like, just see what you have first before you go, all over the place. Tyreek Hill is another one. I think that's a blockbuster trade. Might be the only one I'd be like, you know what? Screw it, dude. You just said Hail Mary. Let's see what happens, pal. And I kind of like it, but I don't think I'm going after. I just don't think at all I'm going after guys right now, where we sit right now. Cody Silva, Pittsburgh offense was predictable all last year. We talked about it on here. What are they doing to not make it predictable? To be honest, I think it's too early to tell. I don't know what they're going to do to make it predictable. I think the fact that they have running backs that actually fit the scheme make it much less predictable. I think the fact that they're going to have multiple tight ends and possibly a quarterback who could throw to them make them less predictable. I don't know who was more predictable, if it was Arthur Smith or if it was Russell Wilson. And I couldn't tell you, or Mike Tomlin, because all those reports of him not being able, don't throw over the middle. You can't throw, the interceptions happen over the middle. We can't do that. Touchdowns aren't as important as not throwing interceptions, not in the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. I don't know if that was the case. I think it's too, we'll find out in training camp. I would think why. Maybe mini camp a little bit. OTAs will be too early. Mini camp maybe in those 3-day periods. But I don't see it being anything crazy. What's your, I don't know if advice would be the right word, maybe prediction. How do you see the Steelers going? All right, here's an immediate change. Let's make things simpler.
I think what they're hoping for, at least right now, is that the offensive line becomes more sophisticated in their ability to like pick up changes and as the defensive line adjusts, them being able to react just in time. Like, I think they're not doing much right now in terms of transforming the offensive structure, right? Like, they're pretty much gonna, from all we know right now, since it is too early to tell, they're going to run pretty much the same sort of offensive scheme under Arthur Smith. But I think they're hoping that, Frazier takes that next step and he can call out adjustments as needed, which maybe he was just not able to do or allowed to do as a rookie. So I think they're hoping that the personnel is taking that next step in their own sort of preparing stage for the season, and that will help them be less predictable. But I think from a structure schematic standpoint, I have not really seen or heard much that indicates they're going to like totally revamp this offense. I think they're just hoping the players they have are better served at making this offense work. I agree.
And that's where it'll start. Again, I'm sure we'll see some new flair, but I think having a quarterback and an offensive coordinator that actually like each other it's going to make a difference.
Good start.
Stephen Cornfield, sorry, Noah, I seriously can't find your email, but I'm so sorry. It's just my name, noahstrackbine@gmail.com. Hit me up. For everybody else who's going to hit me up with it, I don't check that email unless I, see your name pop up. So, Stephen, hit me up, noahstrackbine@gmail.com. We'll make it work. Pittsburgh Hornets here. If you got to introduce Rodgers with the Steelers in an over-the-top way, how would you do it? Great question. How would you do it? How would you possibly do it?
Man. So my first thought was helicopter, but then I was like, wait, AB came to training camp on a helicopter, so you couldn't do that. What's the freshest way?
I think. Go ahead.
I was going to suggest maybe skydiving in.
Skydiving's a good one. I don't know why we're thinking sky. I immediately went helicopter as well. I was like, all right, just jumping out of a helicopter always makes things bigger and crazier. Week 1 at home, they're announcing the lineup, and at your quarterback number, whatever number is 12. No, 12. You could Terry Bradshaw. I wouldn't take 12. Number 8. Aaron Rodgers, and then that's how you announce Aaron Rodgers as like up until that day, like Skylar Thompson is the starting quarterback in Pittsburgh Steelers. It's the ultimate. They would have zero issues in doing it because it's the biggest like F you to Mason Rudolph of all time, and that is their specialty. And that'd be it right there.
That's killer.
If the quarterback drafted next year doesn't become our franchise quarterback, is it safe to say we will not be a true contender until next decade? Crazy to think. I think you do kind of put yourself into that category of it's going to be a while. I'll say this. I think not if the guy that you draft next year is a guy that doesn't work out. I think it's the first time Mike Tomlin has a real opportunity to lose his job. I think that's the beginning of the end of Mike Tomlin, because he is at a place where the noise is incredibly loud and it is only going to get way louder. If you fail at this, I think it kind of puts Rooney in a place where he can't, he has to move on. He has to find something else, which you get rid of your head coach. Chances are your new head coach, unless you do something crazy, doesn't go out and win a Super Bowl his first year. So you got a couple of years of development there, hoping that it works out, because a lot of times it doesn't. And just like the quarterback situation, like you're going to hit or miss a bunch of times. Yeah, I think the Steelers are walking a line.
I think they are in danger of not being a contender until 2030 and beyond for sure. I don't think it's a guarantee, but it becomes very, very likely if they miss on a quarterback this and next year.
Yeah, I will say though that they are going to do everything, and I don't think this changes it, but they will do everything in their power to find a quarterback and not, they won't roll over and say, all right, well, we missed again. That's the end of it. They will do everything they can to find a quarterback. It is getting more and more drastic as we go on. Eddie, the first start, bench, cut. Rodgers, Howard, Rudolph, but they got to get through the season starting all 17 and injury free. This is a tough one. I think I have my list. Do you have a list?
Yeah, I do. And I hate it, but I would start Rodgers.
Okay.
I would bench Howard because I love him so much, and I would cut Rudolph. And what I hate about it is that you have to start Rodgers. Because if he's getting through the season, starting all 17 and injury free, I know he keeps saying it, but like he is, of those three names, he is the best quarterback proven and still right now. So yeah, it's tough. And I don't have a problem. I guess I'm similar to the Steelers in that I don't mind screwing over Mason Rudolph. So he gets the cut on this.
I took this as they have to get through the season, and if they don't, you lose. And if that's the case, I'm going Rudolph. As my. I don't think Rudolph's got his injuries. He's already been injured, man. At this point, you've broken a collarbone and got smacked in the head with a helmet, and like your injuries are done, dude. And that's on top of the Earl Thomas hit that same season or late. Yeah, it was a wild year. Mason Rudolph's literally made of titanium at this point. The guy is invincible, I would say.
Durable.
Yeah. And I would go Mason Rudolph. Will Howard would be my bench, because just in the same argument you have, like, you're not getting rid of Will Howard. You just don't want to do that right now. Aaron Rodgers is getting cut, and that's a wild one. I don't think that you're winning more than like 9 games that year, but
Oh, no.
You're there. You're there for sure. Egyptian Roughneck. Hey, Noah, we have an agreement with Homeless Children's Education Fund, for our donation of 100 per sacks with Hit 'em for the kids. Hit 'em for the kids. All right, I'll make sure I write that down. And well, reach out to me as well. nostrackbind@gmail.com. Let's talk about this. Let's see what we could do to push this a little bit louder than just a comment. I'm gonna do what I can. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you as always for a billion reasons, but I appreciate you for this for sure. So hit me up. D Rock Den. Do the Steelers still believe in Cordero Patterson? There's a possibility. Potentially they do still believe in Cordero Patterson. I don't know why you. I don't. What's your percentage chance that he's on the roster come week 1?
50% chance.
Oh,
I think it's a coin flip.
gosh.
I know. And I hope I'm just so wrong. I hope we come back and look at this and I'm just like the most incorrect I've ever been on anything. But like at this point of the offseason, I have no faith in this being done, correctly, in my view. I think he might be there.
I think so too. I would say less. I'd say 30%, but I hear what you're saying. Like your 50 is very educational. It's who knows, man? Why is he here now? Like my chances of, if you asked me in January, what are the chances that the Steelers go into OTAs with Cordell Patterson? I'd say just about 5% chance. If everything goes wrong, 5% chance. Everything seemed to go pretty right for the Steelers. Like when it comes to the running back position, they've done what they could do. They've done more than they could do. And he's still, so I would give it 30%, and it is wild to me. Grayson the Ginger, hey, Noah, I got a good one for you. Highsmith, Harmon, Hayward, and Watt. If all 4 of them can stay healthy, what kind of ceiling do you put on the front 4 this season? Oh, one of the best in the NFL. My thing with the Steelers is, like, Larry O was a hole last season, but also the skill set of what the Steelers were looking for didn't match what they were putting on the field. Like they wanted to be able to stuff the run, win physically. You weren't going to beat us up front type of situation. They had Keanu Benton, who's not big enough to play nose tackle. He's going to play nose tackle, but I just think that he's a better Cam Hayward. He's not a better Cam Hayward. He's better at playing the position that Cam Hayward plays than he is nose tackle. And I think you're going to get more of that. I think you're going to get a lot of Y.E. Black by the end of the season at nose tackle. I think you're going to get a lot of Derek Harmon. Like you never take your foot off the gas of being physical and able to stop the run. And they didn't have that last year. Like their biggest thing last year was, we could get you if you give us enough time to get to the quarterback. We're going to get you. But Isaiah Loudermilk's our run stuffer, and Isaiah Loudermilk might not even make the roster this year. So I would say a pretty significant improvement. Your thoughts on this?
Sky high ceiling for sure. And the difference here is depth. Like even if they were getting after the quarterback last year, eventually Cam had to come get a breather. Eventually TJ would come off for a couple of plays in the series. And there was just such a drop off in what the defense was able to do the minute any sort of rotation happened. So I think the difference this year, especially with the guys they have brought in, like with Harmon, with Black coming in, like that defensive line doesn't sacrifice physicality, doesn't sacrifice, hopefully, strong technique, because they have just a way improved depth on the defensive front, So I think that hopefully just lets TJ, Alex just rain terror from rushing the edge.
I agree. Grayson's got a follow-up here that's similar to the first one. If Broderick Jones, Troy Fautanu, Isaac Seumalo, and Zach Frazier all stay healthy, what's the ceiling of them to protect the run and pass? I'll say this. If they're all healthy, the concern I have is Broderick Jones. Are you going to be that guy? Are you able to be that guy? Are you that guy? Mason McCormick. How big of a step can you take in year 2 compared to year 1? Because I thought Mason started strong, finished not so strong last season, but he's a 4th round pick out of North Dakota, South Dakota, one of the Dakotas. Like he's not playing Ohio State. He's coming into the NFL and it's going from here to here instead of here to here. It's a significant gap. So if he could play well, I got total confidence in Troy Fautana. That dude's a stud. Isaac Seumalo is a Super Bowl champion. He doesn't worry me whatsoever. Zach Frazier's got potential to be the top 3 center in the NFL like this season, I think. It comes down, in my opinion, to Broderick and Mason McCormick.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. I was so excited by Fautana's arrival last year, and his injury luck is like, that's terrible. Hate that he had to miss his entire rookie season, but because of that, because I'm still waiting to see him be that dominant physical tackle, like I'm not 100% in on him just yet. I have questions on both of the tackle positions because of that. But I think I can be easily proved wrong by just a couple of weeks of performances. But aside from that, like Zach Frazier, I'm right with you. He is elite. Siamalu's a stud. I have more faith in them protecting the run. I think they're like just a nasty bunch, and they have a great scheme for it. And again, that's what I was talking about before. I think they're going to take that next level in just sort of like diagnosing what's going on the defensive front and helping their quarterback, as a result. But yeah, I do worry about protecting the pass, and that kind of stems from not feeling 100% set on the tackle position. Not because I think they need to get better at bringing other players, but I just need to see more consistency.
I agree. Mike's got a great one here. Snoop Dogg's face on the Jumbotron saying, your quarterback blows smoke into the camera as the smoke begins to bellow out of the tunnel, with Dogg emerging with a cigar and Aaron Rodgers strolling out behind him. Week 1, Browns in the house, or the Jets, or somebody. Boom, Sunday Night Football. I could see it all. All. Would be awesome. Cody Silva's got one. Pittsburgh's offense was, we already answered that one, and we'll finish it off. We actually have 2 more. We'll go Drew. Why is Mike Sullivan not on the coaching roster anymore? His contract was up. The Steelers chose not to re-sign it. That's what it was last year's. The Steelers looked at it and said, we have 1 more year of Mike Hilton under contract. Instead of firing him, why don't we keep him on board? If he gets an offensive coordinator job elsewhere, great. If not, we'll keep him on board because he's an extra set of hands, and he's a good set of hands to have. He's well respected in the coaching staff and the locker room. Let's keep him around. But his contract expired this offseason, and they chose not to renew it. That's why Mike Sullivan is not on the roster. And then we'll finish it with this one. We have a strong case for fumbles created this year amongst all defenses. Do you agree? Do you think the Pittsburgh Steelers are entering that realm of turnover central football once again, where I think last year they took a step forward in the secondary, coming up with interceptions? Can they do it being that team where you force fumbles across the board in 2025?
Yes, I think they certainly have the parts to do it. I mean, obviously TJ is like the greatest fumble creator in the NFL. That punch is legendary. But yeah, I think going back to that depth along the defensive front, like I think because they will hopefully be able to win at the line of scrimmage so often, it could give more opportunities for them to create fumbles, to create turnovers. So yeah, I have full faith that they will be a turnover heavy defense, and they'll like rely on that sort of playmaking factor again. But yeah, I think they can create more fumbles. I don't see exactly which player, what sort of improvement will lead to it right now. But I mean, yeah, I think they just have such a dynamic like potential. So yeah, I think it's there.
I think so. Highsmith is always Highsmith's just fantastic. He's a fumble central. TJ Watt's obviously the same thing, and Cam Hayward's Cam Hayward. I think Jack Sawyer helps a lot. I think Nick Herbig is going to help a lot. The added reinforcements on the edge I think are great. But I also think that Derek Harmon was a guy that has a nasty rip at Oregon, and especially like Michigan State. His Michigan State tapes are very impressive as well, obviously, and he has a nasty rip there. Why he black, I don't know if he's got a nasty. He's just a big, mean, physical dude. But Patrick Queen, I think Cole Holcomb coming back is another guy that could do a lot of that. Juan Thornhill, that's like Juan Thornhill as a run supporter over what DeMonte KZ was. Nothing against DeMonte. He's a great player, but Juan Thornhill's he could hit you. He could do these things. I do think that it's the potential for the Pittsburgh Steelers to be very nasty on defense and be able to actually turn the ball over. I think pretty significant in 2025. All right. With that said, guys, we are heading out of here. Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcasts. And as always, find all of our work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. With that said, we'll be back tomorrow. Enjoy another beautiful day in the Berg. Peace.